Okay, good day to you all. This is the teacher once again. I'm going to break down, I think I did mention that I was going to break down the numbers as far as 1 through 9, as far as the root meaning of them. So, what I have on the board right now is the number 1 and the number 2, basically, is what I'm going to talk about. I'm gonna try to get them in within a 30-minute time frame. I may be able to do it if I don't go off key and get too spaced out. But basically, the number 1 is the pronounced 1. Uh, there was nothing before the 1 that you could add. As you see, 0 times 0 equals 0, 0 plus 0 equals 0. So, nothing has always been, but the 1 created itself out of what we call nothing. All right? So, the pronounced 1 is just that. When he pronounced his existence, he said, "There's none before me, and there's none like after me. And whatever comes into existence is by my command or by my frequency. I'm bringing it into existence because I'm the only one that can do that." And everything that you see, he's bringing life into the universe, and every life that is manifested has the 1 in it. You can't exist without being part of the 1. So if you look at the significance by there's only 1 and there's none like the 1. 1 times 1 equals 1. That is the only number that equals itself other than 0. But if you take another number and you try to multiply by 1, it's going to remain the number that it is, because they only exist because of the 1. So if they try to, beget 1, all they're going to do is, you can't do that because you only 31s yourself. So times on yourselves by the 1 will remain as you are. You're going to stay in place. So the only time that when you could advance or move forward, for a lack of a better word, if you add the 1 and then multiply, that's fine. As long as you ain't trying to multiply it by 1. So the 1 is he pretty much destroys individuality, because in order to exist, you have to coexist. So there's nothing in the universe that exists on its own, because we all have the 1 in it. So wherever you see life, it came by the way of the 1, because the 1 was the only one that is in existence. So he says that I am the pronounced 1. So I just wanted to emphasize that 1 really kind of briefly. What I really wanted to go more into was the number 2, us. Because I'm going to mention, 1 on just about everything that I actually talk about. You can't get away from not, making a point about the 1 and why we all here and why we all have life, etc., etc. So if you look at the number 2, for instance, which it as defined as us, okay? So meaning us as the number 2, that all life is related to the 1, and we are, life itself is the manifestation of the 1. Okay, so you know, in scripture, if you take the Bible for instance, when it says, "Let us make man after our likeness," you know, in our image, etc., is bringing on a new number other than himself. So the next number after one is two. Now, the significance about two is that we all should start our mathematics principles based on life, because the number two is the manifestation that, you know, life can exist and it will always exist, because it is in the root form of mathematics you get the same result. So, you know, life can't even destroy itself, because even if you run across a something that we see that has died, it still kicks off other forms of life to even start, you know, the breakdown of the body, etc., etc. Life is a continuous motion. Period. Life takes care of life. So when you look at the number two, like zero, it has the same result no matter if you add or multiply. So 2 plus 2 equals 4, and 2 times 2 equals 4. And that's a very significant reason for that, because the number 2 brings on the beginning of the structure of life, or bringing on the frequencies of life, when you showing that all life is one, and it brings on the duality as well. We, us, two, the number 2 signifies the beginning of balance, even though the number 4 is the completion of balance. The number 2, like 0, would give you the result if you work it at balance. And the number 2 brings on the duality. And that's why I got the number 11 up there. Because after the number 10, I was going to put the 3 10s up here, but I decided not to. I'm just going to speak more on the number 2. I will talk about the 3 10s on another subject. But as far as the duality, the number 11 equals 2. But see, that's when we get into what people call the genders, male and female, you know, the 2 forms of life. So when you start wanting to bring life into existence in your image and in your likeness, that's when the number 11 appears. When, which was once 0, you have brought you and your love together, the 2 ones, male and female, 2 genders, however you want to pronounce it in this political world. But basically, universally speaking, in mathematics, we deal with male and female. Okay? So you have the duality there. So what I mean by that, you have 2 ones joining together to make the number 2. Okay? So if you look at the number 11, and if you always just add 11 or 11, it's going to always take you to the next duality. So in other words, 11 plus 11 is 22, plus 11 is 33, plus 11 is 44, plus 11 is 55, etc., etc. And then just like in the Islamic culture, they say that Allah has 99 attributes, where, you know, once you get to the line, you get to the completed state. So it's a very significant number 2. But it basically means the beginning of us. So all of our mathematics and what we try to build on, we should always start with the principle of us, because it would eventually bring us the balance that we are looking for. So each each one of the male and female, they are equal in the one. So what I mean by that, both of the ones, when you look at the number 11, they equal 180 degrees. So just like, there is no greater than or less than when it comes to male and female. We cannot grow either without each other. So, you hear the modern term, behind every great man, there is a woman, which I disagree with. Mathematics teaches us is that when a man and a woman are both facing each other equally, is how you get the perfect square. So when you look at the number 11, they are facing one another. They are not, behind each other. It is face to face. Period. The equality is there. No number is greater than the next number because, the female has the one in it. I mean, everything comes out the womb. Period. So when you look at the unity between male and female, which equals us, it matches the zero. Because 0 times 0 equals 0, 0 plus 0 equals 0. It's the same result. And 2 is the only number that has the same result. So in the beginning, where it's just God, he's pronouncing himself as the one. But if he wants to continue and to bring life into the world, he needs to produce another number, which is the number 2, which means I have to find that which is like myself in love with the aspiration of life to continue. So in other words, in the same thought process, in the same ideology, working together, they become one. So when you look at the number 11 and both equaling 180 degrees, when you do 180 degrees plus 180, you get 360 degrees. So when the woman reaches out her hand, symbolically speaking, and when a man reaches out both hands and they join their hands together, that's how you get the perfect square. And by going through that process together at 11 and the duality keeps going, that's why when they say they get the 99 attributes, because that's when you become into your totally complete stage. So you also can see up there, I got the number 19 plus 1. Okay? That's why I was thinking about putting the 3 10s up there, but I decided not to. So the number 19 is the last expression of the completed 1. When you receive 1 and then 9. So the number 19 is very significant. A lot of us have the understanding that the number 19 represents the Son of Man. Okay, the understanding of the Son of Man. Well, the very next number after that, 19, is 20, which once again is that when you get to that completed state, the universe gives you that 0, takes you to the next step when you come into the 20. So the number 2 is all about the gathering of us, the continuance of life, and for us to get that balance between male and female. So the key is always to get to 180 degrees. And when you have 180 degrees of understanding, then you are truly ready to take on a spouse. Not saying that all of us are in that same understanding, but the order of things or the principles of things of what we were designed to be, this is what the math says. So that's why the number 2 is called us, because it is the joining between male and female. It is the beginning of us, period. There is no other number like the number of 2 other than 0, because 2 represents the beginning of life, the union of life. And the goal is always the balance, which the number 4 brings us, balance. So you can't be all that a woman is supposed to be without a man. A man cannot be all what a man is supposed to be without a woman. There is no such thing as a man that is complete and no struggle if he hasn't fallen in love with a woman, and vice versa. Because that understanding, going through that process, is what heals us all and gets us closer to the one. Because the one went through that thought process when bringing life into existence. So we cannot experience life in this ultimate state without falling in love with the spouse. You know, with the male and female joining together in true understanding. There is no greater or less than, there is a equality there. Period. That's how you get balance. There are some things that a woman by nature can do that a man can't. Period. You know, we both need one another to do our parts to bring life into existence and to continue our journey. So when you look at the single digit codes, as far as what that number vibrates or what's the frequency of that number, the number 1 is to pronounce 1. The number 2 is us. The number 3 is the beginning of a cycle. The number 4 is balance. The number 5 is justice. The number 6 is complete yet incomplete. The number 7 is universal. The number 8 is everlasting life. And the number 9 is the completed state. Each of these I will give brief breakdowns of. In my book, I will go into a little more detail as far as the how it relates to the numbers and so forth. And on the video, if you just study and then use your own personal life of what you have experienced and so forth, and let the math work itself. And you know the patterns, I got the patterns out there, and you fool with it, you can get even more understanding if you just work the math. But I want to briefly go over each number, but I'm not going to make it into a long subject, because once you start working the math, you get an understanding of what I am saying. Or not what I'm saying, what the math actually says. This part of the understanding of how the math flows and what that root number means, it determines how you're able to form your melody and make true music and hit that harmony and peace with true communication. The number 2, as you see, is the only number that you can add and times and get the same result. Ask yourself, why is that? Other than 0. They both have the attribute of a beginning. 1 is the 0 represents the beginning of the 1. The 2 represents the beginning of us. Period. You and I can't come out of nothing because we're not the one. He's the only one that first exists, and when he pronounced himself, he wanted life throughout the universe. The very next number that is manifest is us. Period. You will always start off in thought, but when you become life yourself, when you come out of that thought and that thought becomes manifest, that means you can now, what is manifest can also manifest. But there's always a thought process behind that. So whatever you see, like I've mentioned before, there's always a thought that precedes what is manifest. So if you fall in love with the thought instead of what is manifest, you will understand more and you will start picking up on the harmony of life itself. Instead of just looking at the beauty that it is, but the beauty started in the thought. That's where beauty begins. Now somebody actually thought of this. Somebody took the time to create this or to bring it into manifestation. It was a thought. Period. So whenever we are in tune what's really taking place, like the thoughts are the beginnings of what we eventually see, what we eventually experience. So life, when it comes down to it, is all about us and about we being the second number, life, in the manifestation of God's work. It's very significant. The number 2. Very significant. And then while the number 2 and the number 7 has the same number, because 7 represents the universe. And when you work the pattern of 7 and you work the pattern of 2, you get the same result. It's the same pattern. They are both that same pattern. 7 and 2. Both 483, 726, 159. Same pattern. Both. Bringing on the balance. Starts the balance of life. Period. 7 is universal. And the first number of 2 is 4. And then when you start the pattern, the next number that is going to appear is going to be 8, which is everlasting life. So God is saying that I fashioned us out of the principle that you will be forever like me. We are forever connected together. There never is a time when you are not connected to God, because we are the us. We are the number 2 that represents God. When you come into this existence, you are called. And we all want to be chosen for what we are called to do. So by your understanding and knowing that God exists and knowing his language is mathematics, etc., And instead of believing in God, you become to know God. Instead of having faith in God, there is no doubt of his existence, because the very essence of your language manifests God on a daily, second, minute, hourly basis. It can't do nothing but reflect that which is. So, very basically, that is the number 2. I can talk on it for much, much longer, but I don't see the point right now. You can work the math. You can look at the patterns, put it all together. I only have a few videos out there, but a lot of the videos have a lot of information out there if you just work the patterns. So basically, the number 2 is us. And we know about the pronounced 1. The next one I'll be talking about the number 3. I'll put some stuff on. I might put 3 and 4 together. But the unity between male and female, the perfect balance, that is us. The women are equality. There's no greater than or less than in the universe. We are equality because she has the 1 in her. No one is greater than the 1.